Hello, today I'm here to guide you on beating the new mode with a Remembrance team. But first, I believe that there's a really big misconception on Remembrance right now, which is why some people may be struggling to beat the mode with it, which I will get to soon. My last video focused on break characters, which not everyone has access to premium break users like Boothill, Firefly, and Ruame. But with Freeze, everybody should have access to March 7th, and potentially even Misha, Japard, and Yanqing too. I believe that even without any of these characters, you can still beat the mode by abusing freeze and dissociation damage, albeit it will be a bit more tricky to do so. I'll first explain the mechanic we're gonna abuse, that being dissociation, as to have everybody on the same page. Dissociation, simply put, is a blessing effect in which enemies will lose 30% of their max HP after the freeze on them is removed. And seeing how enemies have millions of HP in this mode, 30% of that will chunk their health. Unfortunately, that's where the misconception is. That description that we all know and love is absolutely wrong. Dissociation alone in this mode is god awful. It does next to no damage in this mode. For me personally, it was legitimately doing like 2% of the final boss's health. This, coupled with the fact that 4 out of the 5 bosses have high crowd control resist and effect resist, makes freezing them nearly impossible at times. I literally spent 25 minutes on the first phase of the swarm bug just to die because I did no damage. So don't be like me and do it right the first time. If you're struggling to beat this mode and using Remembrance, you're probably messing up like the way I did. So, how do we fix this? First, let's understand the most important thing in this mode for Remembrance, that being the 3-star equation Silent Hunter. Silent Hunter makes it so when the enemies have dissociation, they will not take any damage, but crit and break damage is accumulated and tallied, and once the dissociation is dispelled, it will multiply that accumulated damage by the crit value and nuke the enemy. This removal also chain reacts with other enemies with dissociation and everything will just die.
Fight to live!
The flesh wound.
So, rather than it just being a flat 30% from the enemy, you now need to build up damage while they are dissociated. This means you can not only bring sustains as you need to do damage. Knowing this changes team building by quite a bit. This means you actually only need one character that can freeze, or 0 if you want to risk it and bank on freeze blessings. The best options would still be Japard and March still, but you can definitely use Misha and Yanqing if you built them to do good damage. So, for your team, you can actually use any traditional crit team or break team as long as your sustain is March or Japard. But you can also have your main DPS as Misha or Yanqing too, as they could potentially fill the freezer role and the DPS role. Of all of the Remembrance equations, the only 2 that I believe are generally good would be the Astral Computer to allow us to keep ulting, and the Architect Scribe for a much needed shield. Any other equation is completely up to you and your playstyle. For this strategy, I actually recommend starting with a different team that doesn't focus on freeze. This is because freeze actually starts out super weak as it is heavily reliant on dissociation, which you can't obtain until you get some 3-star Remembrance blessings. This paired with the fact that it is basically unusable for damage until Silent Hunter makes it so running a different team is the best option. Now for the weighted Curios. Are there any that actually help us? Unlike Break, which has dedicated Curios, Freeze actually doesn't have any at all. As such, for weighted Curios, just simply pick the ones best suited for your team and their damage style. That being said, please do not pick up the Dignity and Passion Curio. It is really bad. The Curio essentially allows preservation characters to be able to utilize destruction buffs, but in practice, it just lets enemies pierce their shield. And yes, it really is as bad as it sounds, as you straight up will get one shot if the boss hits hard enough, which they definitely do, especially when they're enraged. For the blessings, I'll just talk about the most important blessings of Remembrance to go for, and after which, I'll mention great blessings to pair with from other paths. But just know you should still go for Remembrance blessings that I didn't talk about while getting the blessings that your team needs. Starting with Fully and Innocence, this is what allows us to cause dissociation. Without these blessings, We're kinda cooked. Reticence allows for a consistent freeze without ult or skills, but is not as important as the other two, as our team should ideally be able to freeze the enemy already. Shudder, depending on your team, is honestly a must-have, as it allows us to park the 3-star blessing Innocence against non-ice weak enemies, as it implants ice weakness. I want to note that Chronic Ruin can greatly reduce the amount of effect hit rate needed to freeze certain ice resist enemies, and makes it so it's not impossible to freeze certain enemies with a super high freeze resist. In practice though, this is useful for all of the second plane bosses, as they have super high freeze resist. But it is completely useless on all of the final bosses, as they have crowd control resist and not frozen resist. Now, focusing a bit on Innocence, Night Beyond the Pyre will help us break more often, leading to more dissociation. Lastly, Sovereign Skybreaker can help us break super fast by giving us another action. But besides that, just choose whatever that fits your playstyle. Just like last time, in regards to gameplay, in my opinion, Occurrence, Rewards, Adventure, and Wealth are all good options, but the key takeaway would be that you need money. It is super important, as you will most likely will need to reset and re-roll some blessings and equations. So essentially, just go to stores when you're rich and earn money when you're broke, but always just save money so you can reset your blessings and equations. A major boss tip would be that they do not get frozen easily. All the bosses besides the past, present, and the eternal show all have 75 crowd control res and 50 effect res. Looking at my chart, it's very clear that these guys do not want to get boxed. As such, you'll generally want to be targeting the little guys to the side, as you'll see later in my run. And that's everything. I'll post an infographic to summarize everything on what you should try to get during your runs. The rest of the video would probably be me just fighting against some boss. Thank you for watching, and if you made it this far, good luck in your runs. If there's anything you want to see next, just put it in the comments section and I may make a video about that.
Fight to live!
Rise to the challenge.
There's more to life.
In the name of a will forged in ice never falters!
Confess. Bear witness to
Stay
our...
in step. Let's improvise.
Firefly Type 4 in position. Set the seas ablaze! Fight to live!
The flesh wound. Behold this symbol of pure beauty.
Firefly Type 4 on way to set the seas ablaze! This is more than a battle. Fight to live! Set the seas
Rise
ablaze!
to the challenge. Bear witness to our... Let the duel commence.
Fight to live! Set the seas
Rise
ablaze!
to the challenge.
Fight to live! Firefly Type 4 in position. Set the seas ablaze!
Eternal. The mood is set. Let the show begin.
Attack! Rise to the challenge.
In the name of a will forged in ice never falters!
Put forth all your might.
In the name of a will forged in ice never falters!
Every petal, all will be swept away by the wind.
Rise to the challenge.
In position.
The flesh wound. Behold, this symbol of pure
Like Firefly until everything burns to ashes!
You are fighting a gentleman.
Fight to live! Set the seas ablaze! This is more than a battle. Fight to live!
Rise to the challenge.
Firefly type sets the seas ablaze!
Rise to the challenge.